had first gotten to the car. Only after he had passed down his judgment, and then I was like, thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. And like, maybe you're right. Maybe he really needed that. Maybe after a whole day of negative, interactions with people, he was like, wow, there are good people in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's really the teaching behind Shlomo HaMelech, the wisest of all men, Solomon. What does he say? He said, Sefer Panim Yafos. Greet everyone with a panim, a face, yafos, yofi, right? Like beauty. Greet everyone with a positive countenance. Because you never, even that is a chesed that you're doing throughout the day. Even that is a kindness. You never know what somebody's going through. And just the fact that you smiled at them was like, wow, faith in humanity restored.
Mm-hmm. So what does Solomon say?
Solomon says, Sefer Panim Yafos. Sefer Panim Yafos, my Hebrew's not so great. Basically, greet everyone with a happy countenance, a beautiful face, a smile. It's very important to not wear your misery and your hardships on your face. One of our founding fathers of our religion was actually punished because when he met the king of Egypt, the Pharaoh or Paro, he had all these years of struggle on his face. And Paro, when he met him, he was like, whoa, how old are you? Right? So Paro's like kind of like a chutzpahdik question, right? Like a kind of a rude question to ask when you meet somebody. Whoa, how old are you? But apparently he used like 33 like words in that sentence or letters in that sentence, and 33 years of life were removed from his life because he was punished because you're not supposed to wear your misery on your face. You're supposed to meet people with a happy refrain. Mm-hmm. That's really very important, a very, very important lesson. Obviously, this is like a giant who's judged on a harsher, higher level than we are, but we see the importance. Mm-hmm. That we see the importance of greeting people with a smile.
When I walk through the hospital, I see people who are having possibly the toughest day of their life.
Exactly.
And I keep that in mind.
And what's the only thing that you could possibly do for them?
A small kindness, a smile.
Small kindness, a smile.
So is the person...
Hello, how are you today?
Is the person who's just gotten the news that he has a terminal disease and is in shock, are they really supposed to be able to greet somebody with a smile?
I suppose you get a pass.
I mean, yeah, you definitely get a pass. If you're mourning. I mean, okay. It's not. We're
you can't stay in that.
We're
place.
Human beings, right? You can't stay in that place. Exactly. If you went through something 10 years ago and you're still walking around like the grumpiest person in the world, like there's a problem. Mm-hmm. But when you visit, God forbid, somebody visits a house of mourning, a Shiva house, you're not even allowed to talk. You have to just sit and be with the person who's mourning. And if they decide to start talking, then you can answer them. Then you can engage with them. There's very strict laws of how to deal, because there's even a funny video on YouTube about what not to say at a Shiva house. And it's kind of making fun of the fact, but it's also teaching us an important lesson about that there's books on the rules of visiting a house of mourning. Because people will say things that they think are comforting, and it's just shoving their foot in their mouth. It's so awkward and sad and weird. And so when you go visit somebody who's mourning, God forbid, you should really just keep your mouth shut and just be with the person. Just your presence is a present to them.
Brilliant.
Exactly. And those kind of rules and laws are taught at Jewish hospitals and stuff. It should be taught at all the hospitals in the world, because
to every child.
Right, to every child who thinks that they're saying something sweet and kind, and they're really not. So this week I think we should, as we started, the Garden of Gratitude. So we said that Emunah, the natural evolution of Emunah, is becoming a grateful person, and that's also how we ended last week, was by talking about how Yehudi, how gratitude is supposed to be the DNA of a Jewish person. Yehudi is the Hebrew word for a Jew. Judah, right? From the tribe of Judah, from Yehuda. So it's really in our DNA is to be grateful and to break all the stereotypes and all the whining and all the complaining that we did as we were in Egypt and leaving Egypt and you know, just one complaint after another. It's hard to read sometimes. It's hard to read, you know, when they say, were there no graves in Egypt for us? You know, you brought us out here to kill us. Like, just such ingratitude. And it even started with Adam, with the first man. You know, when God says, what have you done? After the sin, he says, that woman you gave me. She's the one, you know, he already showing his ingratitude for the fact that God gave him like a life mate, you know, and so he didn't have to be alone in the world, and that's his response, is a lack of accountability. It's somebody else's fault, and he's almost blaming God. That woman you gave me made me do this, by the way. Just saying, you know, like, that's really bad. That's not Hakara Satov, which is the Hebrew word for gratitude. Hakara Satov, which means, you know, giving good. Returning for good, I believe, is how it's translated. Forgive me, my Hebrew is not so great.
It's better than mine.
Right. And what is the Hebrew for ingratitude? Does anybody know? So my mother told me it's kafui tov.
What is it?
Kafui tov, I believe, which means like returning good with bad. Like that, it's basically saying that ingratitude.
Oh, that's
So it's
where
like-
you get kafui from.
Right? Maybe. What do you mean kafui? Like when somebody says fooey.
Yeah, kafui.
That's probably what it is.
No, in New York, when I was a little kid, people would say kafui.
Yeah.
Kafui.
It's like, I don't want it. Get it out of here. You
Yeah.
know, like this isn't something I'm grateful for. So so this is again time for homework this week.
Okay.
The class is going to be a little shorter than last week, but it was very condensed. So the fact of the matter is that I want you to continue with your gratitude journals. Write at least five more things
That's easy.
in each column, right? It is easy. It's so funny how many people are like, oh, come on, like a gratitude journal, like there's only so much you can write. But it's not true, because there's things within the things. When you thank Hashem for your foot, you don't understand how many muscles and tendons are part of your foot. So you can really go down deep into each thing that's on your, so I'm asking very little to say 5 things more to your gratitude lists. And this week I want to introduce another part to the homework, which is that, and for all of you women in the room, this is something that women naturally do all the time anyway, which is I want you to talk to Hashem for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, put your phone down, start a timer, whatever it is, 5 minutes. But this 5 minutes is an introduction. It's a reintroduce yourself to God. Remember we said that we refresh every second of your life. So this is a brand new moment. You've never served God before. You've never met God before. You've never said a word to Him. Introduce yourself to Him and express your desire, your ratzon, your desire to start a new relationship with Him or her. Him and her, I should say. For God is all pronouns. All pronouns are needed. So your desire is to, God, hello, it's really nice to meet you. I'd really like to form a relationship with you. I want it to be new and fresh. Just like any marriage, any relationship, keep the newness, keep the freshness, right? A lot of marriage therapists say, date your spouse. You know, keep in that mindset like when you were dating. Go out on dates. even if it's been 30 years. Keep it fresh. God, I'd like to start a new, fresh relationship with you, but this time I want to base it. I want the framework to be based. I want it to be based on gratitude. Oftentimes, when we think of forming a relationship with God, it's like, okay, I'm going to start asking him for all the things that I need in my life. And that's true, but only after gratitude. So if we follow the methodology that we have in the Siddur, in the prayer book, it's following a very specific methodology.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Gratitude, request, and then gratitude. And it is actually it's in the Shemona Esrei again, the standing prayer, the Amidah, the 19 prayer benediction. Starts with gratitude. In the middle is requests. And then we finish off with gratitude. Whenever we approach God, we follow this method. Mm-hmm. So for 5 minutes, it's very easy to actually fit that into 5 minutes. You can fit it into an hour, which is eventually we're going to do. Because we're going to start practicing something called Hitbodedut, which stands for personal prayer with God. And this is one of Rabbi Nachman's main teachings. Mm-hmm. And another book called In Forest Fields breaks down exactly how to do Hitbodedut, which is personal conversation with God. And again, for women, this is something they've been doing their whole life, but maybe not necessarily learning the proper methodology and always just thinking that it's constantly just begging Hashem for things.
What book is this by Rabbi Nachman?
Rabbi Nachman, his books were, he wrote his magnum opus, is called Likutei Moharan. These books are all based on Rabbi Nachman's teachings. Oh, okay. This is a living, current student of Rabbi Nachman. His name is Rabbi Shalom Arush. And
he was a student of him.
He's a student of Rabbi Nachman's. Rabbi Nachman's very contemporary. I believe he passed away in 1809 or so. So, but his teachings, right? So as far as Judaism is concerned, this is not contemporary.
Right.
So personal prayer was like basically his main thing, mm-hmm. and because Emunah, gratitude, turns into how it manifests itself is mm-hmm. through prayer. So we're thanking Hashem all the time. That's how our conversation starts. Then we say, "Thank you, Hashem, for all my challenges. Now, please help me with these challenges." Thank you for them. Thank you for my lackings. Mm-hmm. Now please help me fulfill these things. Help me achieve these things. Help me achieve a relationship with you. That's how we talk to him. It's fantastic. It's very, very powerful because you're talking to him in your own language. It's very hard to connect to God with somebody else's words. And I'm not knocking the sitter. I'm not knocking. Mm-hmm. We need the sitter. Breslov in no way is like, we don't really need davening, chas v'shalom. Some people think that, God forbid. We need the prescribed prayers because they have their own strengths and Kabbalistic and things that are going on. And most of it is Tehillim anyway. Most of it is Psalms. Because David represents the ultimate personal prayer. Mm-hmm. That's what Psalms is. It's his personal prayers to God. His thanking of God, his asking for help, his running from enemies, his gratitude, all his fallings and his weaknesses and his strengths. It's all Tehillim. It's all there. That's why Psalms is so universal. Every religion in the world follows Psalms, at least, and almost every religion in the world. So the thing is, because it's teaching us how to pray to God, how to thank God, how to request from God. Not in a way of like whining and complaining, but like thanking him and asking him for help for the things. So I want to wish everybody an amazing week, a week filled with gratitude, a week filled with Emunah. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.